And welcome to Recovery Report Live. I'm Dan Odess, CEO and founder of GlobalPro, where we've managed more than $1 billion in loss and damage for more than a decade. We've represented thousands of policyholders, whether you're business owners, community associations, or high net worth individuals. We are your solution to insurance. Whether it's placing insurance or recovering from a loss, we manage your risk to recovery. So let us know how we can help you. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, like us, and follow us on all the social media. So when we go live right here on the Recovery Report, you get the notice of it. The Recovery Report podcast is to give you information you can use, and that's what today is about. Welcome to storm season 2025. We've already had an area of interest pop up. Now, it was at as high as about 10% and immediately was reduced to zero. However, that storm system sat there right along the coastline. We're still seeing the impacts, whether you're in Florida or the Carolinas, up and down the coast here in the United States, we're seeing it. So some things to consider here in the storm season. I'm going to run through some statistics. I have to use my little teleprompter here to keep me on my toes to make sure that I'm giving you credible information. Over the 70% of hurricane-related property claims were denied or underpaid initially in the past hurricane season. That's a real statistic, 70%. Do you want to be part of that statistic or not? If you don't, make sure you get information you can use. Those who retained expert representation early in the claims process achieved recoveries over 4 times higher than unrepresented claimants. Well, that's not the first time that we have seen incredible statistics about representation, and probably a good reason as to why the insurance industry continues to attack those that advocate for policyholders. For instance, you had the anti-consumer sweeping legislation that got recently passed regarding attorney's fees and costs. You've had all kinds of other various things happen in the Florida market. But it's just not just Florida, it's throughout the country. There's a sentiment that if you have representation, somehow, I guess, you're taking advantage of your insurance. Or perhaps it is that the insurance companies have really stacked the cards against you, because there's a litany of information and evidence to suggest the latter. Now, there was even a recent report about an executives, a husband and wife team paying themselves tens of millions of dollars. Now, this company takes out policies from citizens to reduce its exposure, yet they think it's appropriate to pay tens of millions of dollars to its executives. In fact, it's quite frankly it's the most overcompensated CEO in the entire industry. All right, it's a industry ripe of full of trillion-dollar companies, but this one is not one of them. Yet still, they are paying their executives tens of millions of dollars. So now, sticking to policyholders, there's over 76,000 claims were analyzed by the state of Florida by an industry program called the Office of Policy Analysis and Government Accountability. It's a report it's a number of years old, 10-06. Similar outcome though, right? It showed that with representation, you were receiving between 747 to 574% higher recovery on losses, whether catastrophic or non-catastrophic. Categorize them as two different things. But again, more of the same story, more of the same results. Now, and it's no different here at GlobalPro, where we've managed more than $1 billion of the loss and damage and seen substantial recoveries just this past week. And something that we're going to continue to be telling these claim stories. So look out for them on all our social media, where we had several denied losses end up in substantial recoveries for policyholders, both in Florida as well as in Texas markets. Our Texas team has been reporting similar outcomes, right? Now, the new storm, like I like to call it, is the anti-consumer legislation, not the storm season itself. The new storm of legislation issues is shortening timeframes, restricted access to legal resources, limits on attorney's fees and public adjuster engagement. All of these things need to be taken into consideration, particularly when Texas leads the U.S. in hail claims, hail losses, with over 667 hailstorms annually. In 2023 alone, there was 1,123 hailstorms, right? These are huge number of losses that are occurring all the time in markets in which, again, there's a move towards anti-consumer legislation where clearly it's needed more than ever. And from 2008 to 2012, this is a crazy statistic, but the average flood claim payout was $42,000. Now, the typical limits we see on these policies is about $250,000. So it's interesting to see from 2008 to 2012. And I was looking for average flood claim information for something more recent, that's maybe more applicable to our current environment. And I was coming up, empty-handed here with some statistics on that. But what also is interesting is that the massive amount of claims being denied shortly after being opened after hurricanes. And a lot of insurance company representatives are saying, well, that's indicative of people because they don't know what they're covered for. Well, the reality is that they don't know what they're covered for anymore because there's a thing called shrinkflation, where you've stripped the policies of coverages, limited things. You've increased deductibles so substantially that we can't even get a recovery for policyholders. Policyholders can't get recoveries for themselves. There's just so many issues there. So, one statistic I saw from Hurricane Ian was approximately 75% of these claims were closed, leaving around 60,000 still open. Of the 475,000 residential claims that were filed as early as of 2023, that's this is from. So I'm jumping all over the place here, and a lot of this stuff is just remarkable. But one thing's true is that the new storm is the anti-consumer legislation. These moves, the insurance companies are touting the fact that they are profitable or they're making money finally, and they're claiming that it's due to this anti-consumer legislation. But the reality is we all know it's not true. You have extremely high premiums still. You have substantially less coverage in policies. There's a huge spread there, right? So we're paying more for less coverage, less obligation for them to pay, more obligation on the policyholder to pay. So, of course, I hope you're making more money. You're paying for less. It's simple. It has nothing to do with anti-consumer legislation. Actually, it would be argued the opposite, that anti-consumer legislation is not helping. It's actually hurting because you had record number of lawsuits being filed. So again, you haven't seen the outcomes of these things. And also, too, look, you see the frustration with regards to class action lawsuits and other things that have occurred because of the insurance company's failure to report. The legislator has come down and levied many, many fines against insurance companies for failing to report their claims history, outcomes, all the information that they would otherwise need in order to substantiate the claims that have been proffered in support of this anti-consumer legislation. And anything that's been produced thus far has not supported it. It just simply hasn't. Now, do I think that some reform needed to be made with regards to consumer, on the consumer side and advocacy and everything else? Yes, as it relates to some of the bad actors with regards to contractors and, you had some attorneys, but I could just point to as many bad issues on the plaintiff side as I can the defense side. We see it all the time where insurance companies have a well-documented, proven claim, documents are submitted, and they make erroneous arguments with regards to coverage or not going to pay, what's going to pay, and everything else. And we're here to tell you that with representation, as the evidence, as the statistics, as all the information that is publicly available to anyone and everyone that is interested in this issue, with representation, you get more of what you pay for, more of it. Are you getting all of it? Still, with this legislation and with the shrinkflations and policies, without a doubt, no. And that's what's unfortunate. Even with representation, you're still at odds with your insurance company because of the way in which the policies forms are written, with the actions that have been taken by legislators and the departments of insurance in various different jurisdictions where they operate. There's so much of this going on. And the reality of it is that this storm season has already kicked off with substantial damages, both on hail in Texas and Georgia and other various markets that we operate, as well as the hurricane season, the storm season. We've seen a tremendous amount of rain in the Florida region, whether it's central, South Florida areas. It's going to continue. And you need to be prepared. You need to be prepared more today than ever before. And if there's anything that we can do to help you here at GlobalPro, well, let us know. Just reach out to us. You can DM us, text us, email us. You can come in and visit us in our regional offices, whether it's in Miami, Dallas, Atlanta, New York, wherever you are. We want to make sure that you can reach out to us and get the assistance you need for your business, your community association, or your assets as an individual. Please let us know what you can do, but always make sure you tune in right here on the Recovery Report Live every single week. So when we go live and we produce this information for your use, you get notice of it. Tune in here every single week, right here on the Recovery Report Live.